Hey guys, welcome back to SteamStax. My name is Mitchell, and today we're going to be going over level 25 Templar build. Now this build is damage per second, DPS, and survivability. I'm not going to use the word tank because it doesn't have any aggro moves. I'm going to say survivability because it has some healing abilities that keeps you alive during the fight. So let's get into it. Now, the first ability they're going to spend... Actually, first of all, before I start getting into the abilities, I'm going to say probably have around 50 skill points, 45, 50 skill points, and that's just from doing certain missions and doing the dungeons and stuff like that. So I have some extra skill points, but it's likely that you're going to be able to do all of these with just, you know, the skill points you have once you get up to 25. But anyways, customize it the way you like. The first ability that we're going to get into is this puncturing sweep and the Aedric spear one. Pretty much it deals a certain, it does 668 magic damage with each strike, and you're going to morph it to also heal you for 40% of the damage done. These numbers are going to be different for you, by the way, depending on what level you are, so 168 damage isn't necessarily going to, it's what it's going to say for you. But pretty much this is your main damage ability relating to magicka. It's good to hit, especially if you're running out of stamina, and it's good to switch off between a couple of stamina abilities because it does a lot of damage and it also heals you. So it's pretty huge for survivability and DPS. This is pretty much what the definition of a Templar is, this ability. So anyways, passive abilities, not that much here. We're going to put a couple abilities into Piercing Spear. Increases the damage bonus for your critical strikes by 10% and the damage against blocking targets by 10%. So yeah, this just relates to DPS, and I don't really block that much. I only block when somebody's charging up because, you know, I'm not a tank or anything. This damage bonus from the critical thing is the main thing you're going to be looking at. You're going to put a couple points into this Piercing Spear to get that. You're going to put 1 point into Spear Wall. Increase the amount of damage you can block against melee attacks. So once again, I guess it's not necessary. You don't have to have this, but it's just good to have, I guess, the rare times you do block. Burning Light. You're going to put one point into this. It gives you a 25% chance to cause an extra 340 magic damage anytime you hit an enemy with the Aedric Spear ability. Yeah, you at least want 1 point into this, just so you can get that at 25% chance. It's just one skill point for 25% chance to deal an extra 340 damage, so that's pretty huge. You're definitely going to want to at least put one skill point into that. Moving on, Dawn's Wrath. This is what your main magicka abilities are going to be here. Your ultimate, you're going to go ahead and put a skill point into this ultimate, and pretty much it does a certain amount of damage per second. It does a lot of damage per second. Mine does 648 damage per second to enemies in the target area. It reduces the damage of their attacks by 30%. So not only, once again, it's a DPS type of ability, it's also survivability ability. That sounds really stupid. Anyways, you're going to go ahead and morph it to reduce movement speed by 63% to the enemies that are in the area. And what this is going to allow you to do, it's going to allow them to not have such an easy time of escaping. You want them in that circle that you cast down on them for the longest amount of time. So that's good to have there. You're going to do Purifying Light, and the reason why I have this on my second weapon, which is a bow. And pretty much this weapon set is all my dot abilities, my damage over time abilities. And this is good to cast right before you charge into battle, because you can summon an expanding beam of pure sunlight to doom an enemy, storing all damage taken for 6 seconds and releasing it with a 33% increase. So that's good, but when you morph it to lay a pool of health for almost 7.5 seconds, that's also good for survivability when you charge in. So not only are you going to be reflecting damage that you take back at the enemy, you're going to be getting healed as well. So DPS and survivability. Passive abilities. Enduring Raise. I put a couple points into this. Increases the duration of Dawn's Wrath abilities by 20%. I was thinking primarily of this ultimate when I put those points in, because having this ultimate out for another 20% time is pretty huge because it deals so much damage. So you want to put a couple points into that. The next passive, Prism. Activating Dawn's Wrath ability grants 3 additional ultimate. This can occur once every 6 seconds. So yeah, if you hit that spear once every 6 seconds, you're gonna get extra ultimate. When I first did this skill tree right here, I was probably getting my ultimate once every 20 to 30 minutes, and now since I have a couple points in this prism, I'm getting the ultimate probably once every 5 to 10 minutes. And once again, the ultimate is huge for taking out groups of enemies and bosses. It's a real help on a boss. If you're having trouble with a boss, just throw down your ultimate and you'll have a much better chance against him. So this is good to have. Put 1 point into this Illuminate. It grants minor sorcery to nearby enemies, increasing spell damage by 5% for 10 seconds. This is not necessary. This is just for the rare occasions, or my rare occasions, that I'm in a group or doing a dungeon. Because if you have 3 people in your group, it increases everybody's spell damage by 5%. So that's a pretty significant amount of DPS increase there. But that's optional, once again. Moving on to Restoring Light. Now this is where the bulk of your survivability is going to come from. Now I got this ultimate because I thought it would be kind of stupid to put the same ultimate under both of your weapon slots. This is pretty much just like an oh shit ultimate, like I'm about to drop, but I have an ultimate on me. You know, you're swinging around with your axe or whatever, and you're about to die. Instead of using this health pack, or maybe you already used a health pack, flip over here, hit this ultimate ability. It works for healing group members as well, and you'll be about full health by the time this is over with. So it's just good to have. First active ability, Honor the Dead, and pretty much this is another oh shit ability. This is actually under both of my weapon slots here. It pretty much this is an instant heal for a significant amount of health, but it does cost a lot of magicka, which is why I'm saying it's an oh shit heal, not a regular heal, you know, just to throw around all willy-nilly. So anyways, yeah, pretty much just if you're below half health, it's good to hit this, and it's pretty much just like an extra health pack. It's a free health pack, is what you can call it. And it also does work for healing allies as well. And I think I morphed it. Healing a target below 50% restores 16% of the ability cost every 2 seconds for 8 seconds. So yeah, this is going to get your magicka back as well, so it's not that significant of a hit to your magicka. So that's good, definitely good to have to morph like that. Moving on, Healing Ritual. Now this is an ability that you don't need to have, but it's good if you occasionally heal in a group, which I was forced to do in a dungeon. So if you have a healing staff and if you wanna heal as a Templar, it's completely fine. That's what these characters are pretty much made for, healing and DPS. You're probably gonna be wanting to use this more than this, because this heals for more health and it costs less. But the only catch is it takes 2 seconds to cast, so it's not really an oh shit type of heal. It's more like keep your group's health up type of heal. That's good to have if you want to heal in groups as your main role. Now going down to the passive abilities, I only have one passive ability in here. Mending, increasing the healing effects by restoring light. So pretty much it's just good to have at least one skill point in here. 5% is quite a bit if you're talking about, you know, 2,000 health. And this is only level 25 at, you know, veteran rank, whatever. It's going to be a lot more. Moving on, I'm a two-handed build, like I said, and I also have a bow and arrow as a second weapon here. But two-handed, cleave, do not get it. It's worthless. I mean, get it if you're like a level 5 because you need an ability to level up your two-handed. But once you hit level 25, respec and get rid of this. Don't touch it because it sucks. Critical charge. Launch across the earth and smash an enemy for 800 whatever damage, causing a critical strike. And you're going to morph it to deal up to 68% bonus damage based on the distance traveled. So the farther you are away and you hit this, the more damage you're going to do. And I like to hit this, not to start off a fight, but I'll go ahead and tell you kind of an overview of my rotation right now. I'm usually, especially on a big boss, I usually like to hit him with a couple dot abilities, damage over time abilities, and then I'll switch over to my main weapon here, and I'll charge in. So it's a good move to start out a fight with, pretty much, because you'll start out a fight with almost 1,000 damage, probably even more than 1,000 damage if you're far away from them. So definitely get that. Wrecking Blow. Now this is going to be your main damage ability coming from your stamina. Actually, it probably is your main damage ability that you use overall completely. Because look at this, it deals 1800 damage, physical damage, knocking back 4 meters and stunning him for 3.5 seconds. Not only that, and grants you Empower for 5 seconds, increasing the damage of your next attack by 20%. That's what you're going to morph it to. So yeah, this is a big ability for two-handers. You're definitely going to want to keep this. Even Reverse Slash, this next one, isn't as good. And Momentum, I don't even think is really that as good either. Definitely get this. This is going to be the meat and bones of your rotation here for your two-handed weapon. So going down to the passives here, we're going to put 1 point into Forceful, and it allows your standard, pretty much it allows you to hit more than one person at the same time. And this is good just for AoE sake. It's good to have at least 1 point in here, because not being able to hit multiple people at the same time is not good. Just definitely put 1 point in here at least. Heavy weapons. Now this is where you're going to want to put 2 points into, and pretty much it gives you different effects for different types of two-handed weapons that you carry. So I'm carrying an axe right now, so I'm going to deal an extra 255 physical damage and inflict extra bleeding damage over 6 seconds. And if you have a sword, then you'll see, you know, it says two-handed swords deal 5% extra damage, and if you have a mace, then it ignores armor, your target's armor. So that's good to have both 2 points into, especially if you're a two-handed person. Balanced Blade, put 1 point into that. I'm actually planning on putting another point into that once I get it. Reduces the cost of your two-handed abilities by 10%. And this is obvious, you know, just to keep your stamina from draining like crazy. So go ahead and go to Bow, or you can wield a Destruction Staff or any other second weapon that you want. But I like to do Bow because it gives you that damage. It has a lot of damage over time abilities, and I like to hit them right before a boss or a big enemy. I definitely like to use the bow and arrow right before then. You'll see it's a big deal once you get into the higher levels and start doing the dungeons. It's a lot of help to your group. But anyways, put one point into this venom arrow thing, and like I said, it's a damage over time. You'll do initial damage, and then you'll also do like double that for over 10 seconds. And you're gonna morph it to interrupt the enemies. So pretty much you have a ranged interrupt. You don't have to go up next to them and, you know, do your shield bash or whatever. So that's good to start out your rotation with. And then also this is another AoE ability. I'm not a big fan of it. It deals a small amount of damage, pretty much times 10 every 0.5 seconds for 5 seconds. So I don't have any morph in it, but whenever I'm fighting a boss, I hit this venom arrow and then I'll hit this volley. I don't like it because the enemies can move out of this volley very easily, but a boss is usually a boss is rooted to one area, so it's good to have for bosses. And if you're really into the bow type thing, and if you use the bow more often than not, then invest a point in the scatter shot. It's just good to have, blast the enemy back and leave him disoriented. It's good for crowd control, pretty much. If you're getting wailed on by a few enemies, switch over to your bow, hit this, and, you know, survivability isn't what I use it for, not so much damage. But, you know, it'll knock them away and leave them disoriented, so that's the main point. And I only have 1 point of this passive ability, Long Shots, just because it increases your damage, I guess. And it'll also work against your dots. So it's just kind of your priority there on this passive ability. Now Templars are good for heavy armor, so definitely put your abilities into your heavy armor. You're going to throw a point in this movable ability, and this is a huge ability because it allows you to increase your armor and spell resistance by a huge amount for 13.5 seconds, and if you morph it, it's going to grant you the immunity to knockback and disabling effects for 5 seconds. So this is especially huge to keep on at all times, especially if you're facing a boss or a big group of enemies or a tough enemy or whatever. You're going to want this on all the time, and every 13.5 seconds, you know, that's quite a significant time to have, you know, this ability on. And once it's over, just go ahead and hit it again. It does cost a lot of stamina, but the way I'm going to build this character, you're not going to have to worry about stamina too much. And the passive abilities, you're going to put a little bit more skill points into. 3 points into Resolve. Increases your armor and spell resistance, so this is going to keep your health up, increases survivability of the build. Constitution, I put 2 points into that, max that out. Increases health recovery by 4% per piece of heavy armor equipped. So yeah, and then it also restores your magicka and stamina every time you're hit, so that's good to keep everything up actually. So definitely put a couple points into that. And 1 point into Juggernaut. I'm probably going to put another point once I get another skill point in here. Increases max health by 0.5% per piece of heavy armor equipped. I don't have any points in any of these. That's just because I actually did compare all these abilities, the damage of all these abilities with some of the other abilities I have active here. And none of them kind of went up, or kind of compared. So I don't have any. I was looking at maybe the passives on a couple, but they kind of suck. Like allow Intimidate. I mean, really, conversation options really only put you back maybe about 30 seconds. They'll save you 30 seconds, so kind of worthless actually. And yeah, these, you can look through these if you want. I don't have any of these abilities on. Yeah, Persuade, worthless. Now I'm a Red Guard. I think Red Guards are the best for Templars, because especially because they're very survivable. Increases your experience with one-handed shield. Okay, so this, you automatically get this. So I guess they're kind of supposed to be sword and board type of characters, but don't worry about that. It's not a big deal. If you're sword and board, that's great. You know, this is going to be your main two abilities that you're looking at here. Increases the max stamina by 7%. So that's pretty huge. If you're a Red Guard, you want to put a couple abilities into that. And Adrenaline Rush, this is very big. Restores 61 stamina whenever you damage an enemy with a melee attack once every 5 seconds. So this will keep your stamina up as well. Okay, after you're done filling up your skill tree, you're going to want to go ahead and look at attributes. And pretty much have a simple system of 2 points for magicka per 3 points of health per 2 points of stamina. And I like to fill them up right to left. So I'll put 2 points in stamina, and then after I'm done putting 2 points in stamina, I'll put 3 points to health. And after I'm done putting 3 points to health, I'll put another 2 points to magicka, and then I'll just restart the process all over again. What I find is this is just a pretty even build, attribute build for a Templar, and I'll suggest doing this. I'll go ahead and do it now just to show you guys how I do it. I'll go ahead and put 2 points in stamina here, and I'll just go ahead and put 1 point to health. So whenever I get another 2 attribute points, I'll go ahead and fill this health tree up to 12. And then I'll go ahead and put another 2 points in magicka. So that's pretty much what I found is the best attribute build for the Templar. I've done a little research online, and that's pretty much the conclusion. Anyways, I'll go ahead and throw down a rotation guide here at the end. Just going over it. Pretty much what I like to do in my rotation is I like to start out with my bow. I'll go ahead and shoot a venom arrow just to throw down a dot. And then maybe I'll do this volley ability if it's a big boss or something like that. Right before I charge in, I like to do the Purifying Light ability, and that allows me to reflect any damage I take charging in, and also throw down a health pool by the time I'm charged in. Then I'll switch over to my two-handed weapon. I'll charge in with Critical Charge, and then pretty much I'll switch off between Wrecking Blow and this Puncturing Sweep, and that allows me to maintain my stamina and magicka relatively easily. So that's pretty much it, guys, and whenever you get an ultimate, be sure to use it, because you don't want to be wasting all those unused ultimate points that you're getting. So that's my guide for you guys. Thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you guys later.